Hi guys, welcome. Danny here from the Magic Junk Drawer with Tuesday afternoon talk. So today I wanted to talk about a couple of different things. First, I have a very interesting story to tell you. So on my channel, a while ago, I think it was maybe around Christmas time, I did a meditation video with the law of attraction, the ladder story. So this meditation, I got it from Robert Zink, and he said that he got it. It was a Neville Goddard, um, it was Neville Goddard exercise. He tweaked it, I tweaked it, and I put it up on YouTube. But I was also doing this for my classes at the end of my yoga classes. I was walking them through this meditation, and the meditation is on my channel. If you're interested in it, you can always you can watch the video. And I also linked Robert Zink's video in my description so you can see his as well. I feel like it's a little hard to understand Neville Goddard sometimes. Oh, I'm working on putting yoga classes up on my channel. I have a couple of pieces of them, but I have a friend of mine that when him and I get together, he videos me and I'll do the classes. So at least you'll be able to do something, even if you just do it in your house. It's better, I always feel like you do what you can. It's better to do something than nothing. So hopefully that'll help. So what was very interesting about the ladder story is so many people saw ladders, so many people, when we did the meditation, and I was getting emails and stories from people from all my classes. Now I changed the meditations up because I want to keep it fresh, and I had forgotten about the ladder one for quite some time, and we went back to the lemon one. Now the lemon one is somewhere on my channel too, which I got from somebody else, and his is in my description on that one as well. It might be under the meditation or fitness and wellness or whatever my playlist is. So I went back to the lemon meditation because sometimes new people trickle in and they haven't done it before, and it's always good to do a refresher. And after class, the woman that I was working with had mentioned to one of my friends, "Oh, have you done the ladder meditation?" And she, for whatever reason, just missed it. She never did the ladder meditation with me. So she said to me, "Oh, can I put in a request for the ladder meditation the next time I take your class?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Next time you come, we'll do the ladder meditation." So the next time she came, I believe it was like Thursday morning, we did the ladder meditation, and I left because I had to be somewhere else. I didn't see her after class, or she jumped in the shower or something. I didn't see her. I left. And the next time I told her, this is what she told me. This is so interesting. The day that she came to take my class, that she was told, "Did you ever do the ladder meditation? Ask Danny to do the ladder meditation," right? That afternoon, she went out for lunch, and when she was having lunch, she was in a restaurant, and she noticed a ladder inside the restaurant, and she thought to herself, how bizarre that there's a ladder inside this restaurant. So she actually saw the ladder before we did the meditation, but it's very interesting how it all is sort of connected because she happened to notice the ladder. Like me, I probably would not have noticed the ladder. I would have walked right past it and not noticed it. But she took notice of it, had this, "Oh, well, how bizarre is that that there's a ladder just randomly in this restaurant?" And then somebody says to her, "Oh, ask Danny to do the ladder meditation." She still doesn't make the connection. And then we do the ladder meditation, which is supposed to bring her a ladder, but she had already seen the ladder. It's just very interesting the way that worked out. So I thought that was something I should mention. And then the other things I wanted to talk about were your mental thoughts, right? What you're thinking about, what's going through your mind every day. All right, let's get this guy some coconut oil. Come on, relax. So I might have mentioned it before that I went to Mexico a couple of years ago with a bunch of yoga teachers, and we got there like the day before the retreat was supposed to start. So we had dinner just however many of us there was, I don't know, 5 or 6 of us. We had dinner, and well, normally it was going to be like a buffet, but because we were there early, we ordered from the menu. It was different. And when the waiter came by and asked if we wanted dessert, what I thought to myself in my head, right? The waiter asked if we wanted dessert. Now we're on vacation. My thought was, the last thing you need is dessert, you fat pig. That's what I thought in my head. Now, imagine, right, if I was sitting there and one of my friends said that out loud about themselves, I would have been like, oh my God, you're on vacation. Don't talk that way. First of all, you're not a fat pig. You're allowed to have dessert. But when it was me, my thoughts were very different. Like, I have no problem with talking to myself like that, but I would never, ever, ever say that to somebody else. I wouldn't even think it. It wouldn't even cross my mind. My thought would be, you're on vacation, enjoy yourself. You can get back on track when you get home. Like, that's what I would think if somebody else said that. So very interesting to me in how going through your day, you can kind of take notice of what your thoughts are, things that you say to yourself and things that come out of your mouth, when you're talking about yourself. Another example that I used was, I worked with 2 women. One woman was treated like a princess by everyone. Her mother spoiled her, her husband spoiled her. The other woman was treated so badly by her husband that I was like embarrassed for her. I felt bad for her because it was really embarrassing. Now, these 2 people, that became their story. Like the one that was spoiled, not that she didn't like brag about being spoiled, but she got like a dozen roses for Valentine's Day, and she got a dozen roses for her birthday, and it was in the same month. I mean, good for her. I mean, if you have the money and you want to spend your money on flowers, that's your business. The other woman would say things like, oh, my husband would never spend that kind of money on me, or my husband would never send me flowers. And as the years rolled on, the one woman always got the flowers and the other woman never did. So interesting, the stories that we keep putting out there, it's getting reflected back at us, but we don't think it is, or we're not paying attention to it. So think about the things when you go through your day, things that you say to yourself. Now, I have always said my personality is very sarcastic. I think it's kind of like a coping mechanism that I'm just sarcastic. And when I was working full time and we had like a holiday weekend, people would be, when we came back or when we went on break, oh, have a great long weekend. I never had a long weekend because I was always working at the A&P. So even if I wasn't in the office, I was still working, and I always had a sarcasm. I'm like, what long weekend? I don't even have a day off. And years rolled by and I never had a day off. So these were things that I was putting out there. Now, at the end of the day, if I had taken off a day here and a day there, was it going to like cause me to go bankrupt and be homeless? Probably not. But for some reason, I felt like, maybe I felt in a way like I didn't deserve a day off. Maybe I felt like I deserved to always be working. Like, think about the things that you think about yourself. Another thing was, if you were to compare me to yoga teachers, I'm probably one of the heavier ones. Most yoga teachers are just very thin. And that was something that, I took notice of, like even in my yoga teacher trainings, like thinking, I'm the heaviest person here. And not that I'm heavy. I've never been heavy. I've never been crazy overweight. I mean, I've always have had a couple of pounds that maybe I could lose. My weight has fluctuated. But that was something I had to get over. Oh, I'm the heaviest one. So what? So what? I've never had a stick thin figure. It's just not me. Even as a child, I was never stick thin. Even if I lose a lot of weight, even when I get really thin, I'm still not super thin. Like that's just not my body. And that's okay. But this is the things that like we say to ourselves. Oh, well, I'm the fat one, or I'm the short one, or I'm the ugly one, or I'm worried because whatever the reason is, but these are things that we're putting out there. And then you turn around and you see somebody else who is shorter than you, fatter than you, not as good looking as you, and they're not letting these things hold them back. So take notice of what it is that you're thinking and the story that you're telling yourself, because what you're telling yourself is going out into the universe. And it's been very interesting to notice, like, because I've seen it in my life, but I've only seen it when I look back on it. So rather than looking back on all of the crap that you create that you didn't want, how can you change it moving forward? So the first thing that I've really have been working on is when these negative thoughts come into your mind, which is totally okay because we're human. And I also feel like because we're human and we're animals, it's like a survival kind of thing. Like survival, like you have to know where there's danger. You are protecting yourself from pain. The mind moves away from pain, the body is moving away from pain, and you're trying to avoid painful situations. So whenever this thought that comes into your head, I'm too fat for that job, I'm too fat for those pants, I'm whatever it is, it's a limitation in your own mind. And if you were to ask somebody else, they probably would not even, they would probably think that you were crazy, because like it's true. It's true. Like people, you're your own worst critic. We all are. We all are. And if you can change the thought in the moment, so in the moment where you're like, I'm never going to have enough money to go on vacation this summer. It's okay to think that, but don't leave it there. And immediately, okay, I'm not going to have enough money. I intend to have more money this summer to go on vacation than I've ever had before. I intend to make more money this summer than I did last summer. I intend to have more money in my bank account by the end of the year, this year, than I did last year. You just start somewhere, because it's very difficult and it can be a little bit overwhelming if you take it like, I can never have a negative thought. I can never have a negative thought again. No, that's just, we're human and we have negative thoughts and we get overwhelmed, and that's okay. But you want to make sure that that's not where you leave it. You always want to try to bring it back to something positive and put the positivity out there rather than the negativity. Especially when you think of things that have held you back, or things that would hold you back, or, like a limitation. I'm not good enough. I'm never going to get a raise. They don't appreciate me. I'm unappreciated. That's a big one that I hear from a lot of people. I'm unappreciated, whether it's in their relationship or whether it's at work or by their family. I hear it a lot. I'm unappreciated. They don't appreciate what I do. And the truth is I do think that people take each other for granted. I mean, we do. We assume that everyone's going to be here forever, and or they're always going to be available for us when we need them, and then when they're not, we get upset. But if you can change it to, I am appreciated, even if that's not how you're feeling, you want to change the emotion because it's the emotion behind it. So think about things like, I have in the past acted on my emotion when my emotion was something that was very negative. Like jumped down somebody's throat or told somebody off because they didn't do what I wanted them to do, but not knowing why, or not giving them a chance to explain, or whatever. Like just having it in my head that I was right, and feeling like, well, if you cared about me and you would have done this and this X, Y, and Z and blah, blah, blah. When meanwhile, not hearing the person's story as to why they weren't able to follow through with whatever it was they promised, whatever it is. Like the example that comes to my mind is after my mother died. I was young. I was already living on my own. I was living with my brother. Just about everybody I knew, like even people that I didn't know well, were going to do so many things for me. They were going to pay my bills. They were going to be there for me when I needed them. They were going to call and check up on me. They were going to this, that, the next thing. Let me tell you something. Nobody did anything. I mean, my father was here like for like a week or so after. One of my grandfather's sister sent me a card. I did have some relatives like that sent me like I got a check from one of my aunts. My mom had a friend who did call me several times to check in on me and my brother. But really, and I honestly believe people feel really bad in the moment, but life happens. Their life gets in the way. It's just like, you know, they have their own responsibilities. Nobody's coming here to pay my bills when they're struggling to make their own meals, their own bills and their own, rent. And for me in that situation, I mean, I wouldn't hold anybody to it, and I didn't care because it kind of made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. Like strangers were offering, like they were, oh, let me know if you need anything. I can help you out. It made me feel weird. But say it's like a really close friend, and they promise to do something, and they don't do it. Like, and then now your ego gets involved, so it's like now your ego is wounded, so now we're working from an ego point of view, and whenever the ego gets involved, it's never a good thing ever. And it's hilarious because in the yoga studio all over it says please leave your ego at the door, and that's something that we say all the time. But yet everybody, I even gave a talk once about the ego, right? Talking about the ego, and that you don't have to, you could come into yoga one day and it's just not the day. You just don't feel right. There's something, maybe it's on that day, if it's a little too hot for you, maybe you're feeling a little nauseous, whatever it is, and you just spend most of the class laying down. That's okay. You still came. A lot of it is making things a habit, making it part of your life, being consistent with it. So you don't come in and blast the class out every day. So what? Who's keeping notes? So I make this, this was my talk one day. And then as we were leaving, two of the students were talking about how great their handstands are coming along. And I'm like, nobody listened to what I was saying about the ego, because handstand does nothing for you but really satisfy your ego. What does it do? I mean, what does it do? I mean, all right, you're standing on your hands. Okay. So now what? So the point is that whenever the ego gets involved, so if you're in a situation with somebody and they didn't do something that they promised they would do, like, oh, I'm going to pay your, like, I heard a lot, like, oh, I'll make dinners for you, and I'll drop them off. I did have a friend who she made dinners and she dropped them off, but that was during the wake and the funeral, because I don't cook. But it's not that I can't feed myself. Yeah, they are. But it's like people, I feel like their intentions are good, but life gets in the way. And if you want to crucify and penalize everybody for not doing exactly what they said they would do every single time, now you're working from an ego place and you're punishing yourself. Here's another example of what I did. I was just talking about this with one of my friends yesterday. This is really funny. Last summer, now the summertime, everybody, it's nice out, things come up, people want the day off. Believe me, I get it. I've been there. Besides, I worked for A&P for 170 years. I know what it's like when the weather gets nice, people want time off. So somebody last summer had given me like a real cock and bull story about needing the night off. And the truth was, even if this person would have said to me, something came up, I have better plans, I just don't want to do it tonight, would you cover for me? I would have done it. But it was like a last minute thing. It was like, I was already at the studio. It was, the kind of situation where I was planning on teaching my class and going home and eating dinner. And then I wound up getting stuck. And I was starving, and I couldn't. Now listen, was I going to drop dead of starvation? No. But I was like, Aw. My grandfather worked for them too, but in a different store. So I wound up, I stayed, I taught the class. And because I also always think, all right, it's good karma, you do somebody a favor. But I was so annoyed that night, for whatever reason, I was twisted. I don't know why, I don't remember. And then getting stuck and having to do it, which was not, see, now once again, that puts me back in the victim mode. I was not stuck, I didn't have to do it. I could have said no, but I didn't. So now whose fault is it? Whose fault is it? It's my own fault. But that's not even half the thing. This is what wound up happening. So I was so annoyed because that night, for whatever reason, I felt like nobody cares about me. It doesn't matter. Nobody takes into consideration my time. If this was the case, why didn't this person ask me earlier in the day? Why did they wait until the last minute? Because there's no respect and nobody gives a shit. And anyway, I went home and I was so annoyed, I went right to bed without dinner. That's right. I went to bed without dinner. So I was talking to one of my friends the next day about it, and he said to me, and he's 100% right. He's like, so you punished yourself. Who suffered? Who suffered? Nobody. Nobody else but you, because you stayed, you taught the class, you wound up going home, you didn't have dinner because you punished yourself, you went to bed. So who wins? Right? Like, it was so stupid. So I was talking about it with one of my friends yesterday. I'm like, yeah, that was like last summer when I punished myself and sent myself to bed without dinner. Why would you do that? Why? Why? Now that's total victim mode. Total victim mode. You did this to me. You made this my problem. Now I can't eat dinner. Now I'm going to bed hungry. So stupid. I don't remember now if it was last summer. It might have been the summer before. But I will never do that again, because now, with all the things that I've learned, first of all, I have a choice. I don't have to do somebody a favor if I don't want to. And if I do, if I choose to do it, well, you chose to do it, and now the consequences are you're going to have to wait and have dinner when you get home 2 hours later. But you're going to live. You won't die. You're not going to die of starvation. So it's very interesting now how I've learned to change my mind. It's right. There is power in the word no. But even when you say yes and you do it, still try not to make the situation, where you're the victim. And that's exactly what I did. That's exactly what I did. Like, I just felt like, oh, nobody cares where I am, and nobody cares that I didn't eat. Nobody cares. Totally over the top and dramatic, because it's not like I wasn't going to eat for a week. It was a matter of a couple of hours. But very easy to fall into that victim kind of mentality. And this happens across the board with everyone in all different situations. It doesn't have to be at work. It can be in personal relationships. It can be in relationships with siblings. Like, I've seen it happen all the time. I do more around the house than my brother does. Nobody does anything. I'm the only person that ever washes the dishes. I mean, this is stuff that I hear all the time from people. Or my husband's lazy. I hear that a lot. I'm the only one. If I don't do this, no one will. Okay, well, then if no one does it, don't do it, and we'll see what happens. But if you're taking it on and making yourself a victim in the situation, then you're going to continue to find yourself in situations, thank you, situations where you're the victim. And it's been for me something that I've been working with for the last couple of months, really hard, like trying to stop myself when I get in a situation like with Volkswagen. Volkswagen, my car is burning oil. I would like to return the lease and get it on. And they sent me a thing saying if I turned the car in early, they would give me another one, and I would get out of the lease 3 months early. And when I told the guy how much I was over in mileage, they were like, well, we can't take that car back because it would be cheaper for you to buy it. Like, if I return it, it's going to cost me $8,000 in over mileage fees. If I buy the car, it's only $12,000. So why would you pay $8,000 and walk away with nothing? But I'm like, this car is burning oil. What happens if the engine ceases? And Volkswagen doesn't care. But I refuse to let myself be made into the victim. A couple of things are going to happen. Either I'm going to just keep saying to myself, My car is always reliable because the car is reliable. Okay, the oil light comes on and it needs oil, but I put the oil in and I stay on top of the oil changes and it should be okay, at least to get me through the next couple of years. I'm not going to let Volkswagen make me into the victim, but they wouldn't be doing it. I would be allowing it. I've called the company, I've called corporate, I've complained to them. I love Volkswagen. This is the second Volkswagen I had. I would definitely take another one if they wanted to offer me another lease. You know, I would take a 2019, and if they took my car back and forgave the mileage, maybe it's just the 2015 that has a bum oil issue. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to leave Volkswagen because I can't even imagine what kind of a car I would drive. I've been driving the Beetles for so long, but somebody else had given me the suggestion to go to another dealer, which I will do. My lease isn't up until the end of June. I was just trying to get this together because time to manifest. Exactly, and that's what I keep saying. And you know what's so funny? When I wanted to get my first one, I kept like walking over to my bedroom window and seeing the car in my parking spot. Like I just kept imagining it there. I just kept imagining it there. And then I wound up getting it. But I felt like, even though I was imagining it, I just felt like in the position that I was in at the time financially with working the two jobs, it wasn't that far out of left field for me to get a new one. Like now, with me owing the kind of money I owe on it and having the mileage on it that I have on it, like it just seems like it's a little bit harder. But once again, you have that idea in your head, it's going to be harder. So sometimes it takes a little bit of work to get over yourself. You know, like get over the, you know, I could go to another Volkswagen dealer who will be willing to work with me, and maybe somebody will want to take the car back. Like maybe if I went out of this area and I went further away, maybe where there are not so many people that are eager to buy or lease. Maybe if I went somewhere where their sales weren't as high, maybe they would take the car back, because I know that for Volkswagen to put a new engine in that car would cost them next to nothing, and they could sell it. For me to put an engine in there, it wouldn't be worth it. It wouldn't be worth it. And it's kind of like crazy that I keep hearing from all of these people how new cars are burning oil, but it seems to be an epidemic. So just something, if you're in the market for a new car, to think about. My what was it? It was 2006 was my other Beetle, and I never had an oil problem with that car ever. So I don't know what went on between 2006 and 2015, but something happened, because this car, yeah. But anyhow, so it's just very interesting to me in learning how to change the way that I think and the situations that I'm in, and how can this be changed, and also not needing to know. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that my car is over the mileage. It doesn't matter that I owe money on it. None of that matters, because if things, you know, things can work out, you know. Like what happens if a dealer, right, sees this video and they contact me and they're like, oh, we have one, we'll take your car back. You know, you never know. Like anything is possible. And then you never know. But if you don't keep your mind open to the possibilities that these things can be possible, I mean, things are possible. I watch a woman, June Penny, I mentioned her before. I don't even know how she came up in what would bring her to me. I think maybe because I wear these wigs and she wears wigs. Maybe that's how. I don't know. Somehow I found her, and she's awesome. She's really awesome. I think that people really like her because she's very real. Like she'll take off her wig. She's a female baldness, like that's what her issue is. I'm just wearing this really because I'm lazy and my hair's a mess. And before I have to do it to go to work. And also because my friend bought me these wigs and she thought that they would be fun, and they're really fun. But anyway, June Penny is really awesome. So if you have a chance to check out her channel, she's from like Brooklyn, or she's from New York somewhere. So I just love her. But anyway, she started doing videos talking about like female baldness. Yeah, and it's so easy, and then not have to do anything. Like this is just so easy. Like I came back from my run, I put my hair up, and then I just throw the wig on. So easy. She's also about weight loss. Yeah, and also her teeth. She just had her teeth done in Mexico, and she takes you through the whole journey. But what was I going to say? The point of bringing her up. I had a reason for bringing her up. Um, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So anyway, so in watching her videos, I see now she's a spokesperson for the wigs that she uses. I mean, you never know. And let me tell you something. As far as YouTube is concerned, I feel like everybody should have a channel because everybody has something to talk about. Everybody has something to talk about, whether it's a situation or a battle that you fought, or it's a hobby that you do. Whatever it is, somebody has something and people will watch it. My brother and I, a couple of weeks ago, were at his house on a Sunday, and we are watching a video of a man. You don't even see him, you just see his hands opening up cans of food that were like 30 years old. We're watching this. Now, not only are we watching it, the video has 2.5 million views of people watching him opening up a can of clam chowder from 1985. Really? And you think you can't have a YouTube channel? You can. You have something to talk about. There's something that you can do. You just got to do it. That's just it. You just have to do it. In my experience with everything, the easier you make it, the more you'll do it. Like for me, opening up my front door and going out for a run is really easy. For me to have to get in the car and drive 20 minutes to the gym to get on the treadmill, it takes too much time out of my day. So like with the YouTube thing, throw on a wig, put on a little lipstick, make your video. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You can get fancy, and you can get fancy on occasion. I plan on doing a video, another meditation video with like candles and stuff like that. So that's going to take a little bit more time. But, all right, so that one takes more time. No, they don't all have to. So it's just been like a very interesting process, and I want to share my experience because I know other people that are struggling, or I'll hear other people that are struggling, or people will say to me things, well, I'm not happy in this situation, and then they do nothing about it because it's easier. Like, that's the thing. The mind will always do what's easier. So if it's easier for you to stay at a job that you hate, you're going to stay at the job that you hate until you're forced to get out because you have no other choice. Like you've been fired or let go, or something happens, the place closes down, like then you're going to stay because it's easier, and the mind will always do what's easier and what's familiar. Getting out of that familiarity is hard. It's hard for the mind. And I've noticed it with myself. Like I said, I started working at A&P at 15, and I stayed there until the place closed because it was easy. You know, it also was convenient, and it fit into my schedule. With the jobs like that, where their hours are anywhere from 7 in the morning till 11 at night, it's easy to fit it in. But a lot of times I would say to myself, like, I took the job, oh, this is just a summer job. It's just a summer job. Yeah, and then 20 years later, you're still working there because it's easy, it's convenient, and the mind does what's easy and comfortable. And it's not comfortable to think outside the box, and it's not comfortable for the mind to think, you know, how can I attack something from a different perspective? Other people have done it, you know, other people have done it. And even if you don't have all the answers figured out, sometimes you don't have to. Sometimes things will just fall into place. Like things fell into place for me when I started teaching yoga. They fell into place. The timing was right, the stars were aligned, whatever it was, it worked. But, you know, you don't have to wait for all these things. You can focus your energy on something. Dylan, enough. Focus your energy on something and then work to see that it, you know, every time you have a negative thought about it, you change it. I'm going to be a yoga teacher. No, I'm too fat to be a yoga teacher. I'm not smart enough to be a yoga teacher. I don't know enough anatomy to be a yoga teacher. No, you change it. I'm going to be a yoga teacher. I intend to be a yoga teacher. I always love it when people are like, well, I don't know the anatomy. I'm like, I know the anatomy because I've been through enough training. But as a teacher, who are you teaching? You're teaching people that don't know anatomy. So like, I use like, move your shoulder back. I don't say like scapula, because if you're not a medical person, you don't know. Metatarsals, what? Some people don't know where their IT band is, or their hamstrings. You know, they don't know. So why would I use words that people don't know? And they would be like, excuse me, but what's a metatarsal? You know, that's not. Who are you teaching to? So don't worry. Don't get caught up in all these different names. You know what your foot is? If you know what your foot is and you tell someone, step your right foot forward, that's all you need. Be clear and be direct. And whenever you get those negative thoughts that tell you you can't do something, I do it with singing all the time because it was programmed so much into my brain that it was something that I would never be good at, that coming out of that is really hard. But what's even harder is coming out of well, my voice is so low I can't sing those songs. Bullshit. It doesn't matter if you have a low voice. You can still hit pretty high notes, and any music can be transposed so that you can see it, so that you can sing it, you know? But the point is focus your mind on, I intend on hitting the right note. I always hit the right note. I'm going to hit the right note. I always hit the right note. And then you're going to have more success than someone that says, I can't do it. Well, I'm never going to do that. Hey, I'm never going to sing that song. Why not? Why can't you? Why can everybody else sing, but you can't? You know, and I tell people all the time, I'm like, you don't have to be an opera singer, but can you try with Happy Birthday? Just try with Happy Birthday. Let's see how you do. I mean, because the throat chakra, it's important. You know, like singing opens that up. It opens it up. I mean, we're like closed off. We don't want to, we're so afraid we're going to offend somebody. We're going to say the wrong thing. People don't even know what to say anymore. Like, I've had people say things to me like, they didn't want to ask me what nationality I am because they think I'll be offended. And my whole life I've been asked what nationality I am. So much so that I had to have my DNA done because people had me convinced that I wasn't Italian. And I had my DNA done and I'm Italian. That's it. I mean, I was a little bit Jewish, but like 7% European Jewish, and then the rest would be like Middle Eastern. Coconut oil all over the place. But, you know, why would I be offended? Who cares? We're all people. But it's very interesting to me that, like, people don't want to try this. They don't want to try that. They don't want to try the next thing. They don't want to open their mouth and say something. They don't want to tell people. I have a lot of people say that they're like, when I started losing weight, not that I lost a ton of weight, but I guess I toned up a little bit one summer when I was running a whole lot. Somebody was afraid to tell me that he thought that I looked like I lost weight. He thought I would be offended by that. Listen, I'm not offended. You know, it's a compliment. You notice that I was, you know, getting into shape, which is not even something that I did intentionally. It just happened. I actually think it was when I stopped working at A&P, I lost a few pounds just because I wasn't around the food that I was around. You know, we used to have coffee and cookies at night a lot, and not being there, I think that it just took it out of my sight, and I just wasn't eating it the way that I was. But focus your energy on what you want, and when a negative thought comes in, you just combat it with the opposite. And even if you don't believe it, just imagine it. So just think to yourself, like I think to myself, what if, like imagine if I don't know, like, do you think it's possible? Do you think it's possible that you could hit the lotto? Well, as long as you play the lotto, sure. Somebody had asked, or I commented on somebody's video where somebody was saying that they're intending on hitting lotto, but they're intending on whatever the game is, like $1,000 a week. You win $1,000 a week for life. And the girl said, well, I've been envisioning it, but it just doesn't happen. Okay, well, it just doesn't happen means that it just hasn't happened yet. It doesn't mean that it won't happen. It just hasn't happened yet. But take that part out of it. I intend to hit the lotto. I intend to win $1,000 a week. I intend to win for life, or whatever the game is. And when you think, but it's not happening, now that's blocking it, you're putting up resistance. So instead of thinking that, think, it's on its way. I intend to win. I intend to win. Now, really, in the scheme of things, if you won today, or if you won next week, or if you won next year, it's not really that big of a difference. If you're going to win for life and you're going to get $1,000 a week for life, okay, so you have to wait a year. You'll figure it out. You'll make it through the year. And then what about like specific people? Like that's another thing that I hear all the time. Specific people. Well, do you think that I'm ever going to see him again? I get like that kind of thing. Or will I ever hear from him again? First of all, I would never say never, because in this day and age, with the way we can contact each other through so many different avenues, email, FaceTime, WhatsApp, Skype, it costs nothing. Years ago, when my grandparents moved to Florida, you couldn't call them. You had to wait till like nights and weekends or whatever it was. Sunday night, I think after 9, you had to call them. Now, you could talk to somebody that's in Japan. Right now, it costs you nothing. So in this day and age, you don't have to wait 6 to 8 weeks for delivery. You don't have to wait for the nights and weekends. You don't have to wait for the calls to the time to go down. You don't have to wait for free minutes. Right now, somebody could reach out to you in a multitude of ways. Email, Skype, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I mean, how many different ways do you need to be contacted? So do I think that you're never going to hear from the person again? Yeah. I spoke to somebody last week that was in Canada. I mean, it costs nothing. And no, I think that the chances are much greater that no matter how you feel right now or how the other person feels, that they will contact you at some point, because that's just what happens. And then when I do like tarot card readings, I always look at it like as what's going on right now, present day. So it doesn't mean it can't change. And it doesn't mean that it isn't going to change. It just means, like, especially when I do a question like that, people always want to know, will I hear from so-and-so and when? So what I'll do is I have a specific method that I do that breaks down percentage. So it would be like 1%, like 30%, 70%, and then like 99%. You really can't go higher than 99% because there's always a chance that it won't happen. And then with the timing, I always pull a playing card because I feel like that's a little bit more accurate when it comes to timing. Although timing can be difficult in general, I just use the playing cards. And then I always tell them, if you want to change this, you have to focus your energy on what you want. And every time a negative thought comes in, you just have to just reverse it. Like, I'm too stupid to be a scientist. Well, I intend to be a scientist. I intend to be the smartest person in the class. That's it. That's it. You just change your intention and you keep saying it. So the more positive thoughts will eventually outweigh the negative thoughts. Very simple. It doesn't have to be something that you sit around and like envision and meditate on for hours. Because in this day and age, we're too busy. We don't have time for all that. You know, you're lucky if you get 5 minutes peace and quiet in a day, right? Like, we're just always on the go. So you just just watch your thoughts. And then the best time to do your little visualization, if you're going to do it, would be right before you fall asleep at night. And what I'll tell people too is, if you don't do it before you fall asleep at night, you can do it in the shower. You can also do it like if you get to work a minute or two early, sit in your parking space, go into the bathroom. Or if you take yoga, you go into Shavasana. When you're in your Shavasana, do it. When people jump up and try to run out during Shavasana, it drives me a little bit crazy. Only because other people are trying to get into their thing and then you're being distractive. But also, it's like the 2 minutes of quiet time that you're going to have. That's it. 2 minutes. That's all you need. 2 minutes. You owe it to yourself to take the 2 minutes. You know, the grocery store, the bank will all wait. You'll get there. You'll get there 2 minutes late. It's fine. So I guess that's about it for today. I may come on live tomorrow if I have something. I don't know if I'm going to have anything. I think I pretty much covered everything that I wanted to talk about. Staying on top of the negative thoughts. Oh, what to do when a negative situation happens. Okay, this is what they say. ignore the reality. So, for example, last week I went and had my taxes done and I really wanted a refund, although I kind of thought it's sort of impossible because I really don't pay much tax during the year. The way my job is set up, I have to pay at the end of the year. So I wound up having to pay, and rather than getting upset by it, they say ignore the reality, right? So I'm like, I'm not going to let it bother me, and I didn't let it bother me. I didn't freak out. I didn't make myself a victim. I just said, you know what? I'm going to go on the payment plan, which I've done before, and I'll pay it off. Once you go on the payment plan, you can pay it off early. You just go on the payment plan, you pay them something, and then before the end of the year, I think actually the way I'm set up, I should pay it off within the next 3 months. No big deal. Ignore the reality. So don't throw a hissy fit, throw your arms up in the air and cry hysterical. Grab a hold of yourself. I made a $50 payment yesterday. I'll probably make another one next week. It's fine. Ignore the reality. Money flows to me effortlessly. So that's what I just kept saying. Oh, it's no big deal because money flows to me effortlessly. I can pay this, it's no problem because money flows to me effortlessly. So that you just keep saying that over and over again so that you stay on the right track. And it seems to be helping because even though I still do get some anxiety, I've been feeling better. And overall, I think my emotions have been much more on point, right? And focused on what I want than what I don't want. So that's something else. Keep in mind. Alrighty, guys. Maybe I will see you tomorrow. And if you like what we're doing here at the Magic Junk Drawer, don't forget to like and subscribe. Share us with your friends. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great week. And we will see you soon. Bye.